What's up, folks? Welcome in. It is the Oddsmakers podcast presented by Superbook Sports. I'm Jonathan Von Tobel, alongside Jay Kornegay and John Murray. Reunited at last. I feel like it has been a really long time. John, you were gone for the holidays. Jay, I was out in faraway places. Some people thought it was Puerto Rico. It was actually just a small town out in California. What's up, guys? How was your holiday?
All good. Yeah, we didn't do too much.
No?
You know, we did our annual Thanksgiving tradition. We bought a bunch of parlays, let everybody pick parlays out of the hat, and I think we went 0 for 20.
Okay. All right. That's good.
How many teams?
They were mostly 5 and 6 teamers.
Oh,
Some 7 teamers. We had a couple that went down to the last game and a couple that went to Mississippi State game, and they all lost. But we had fun. It was better than a board game.
I thought John was in Puerto Rico. You were just regular old town in California.
Yeah, San Juan Capistrano, not San Juan, the other place.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally misunderstood that.
Yeah, no, I thought, so all of you, I should have let you believe that I was in a much more extravagant place.
Yeah,
Although I will say,
I really believe that.
I did stay in a cliffside resort while I was out there.
Which, over what body of water?
I would assume the Pacific.
Really?
Pacific Lake.
Wow.
It's a big lake.
Yeah, the Pacific Lake, exactly.
I guess I was picturing it more inland.
No. It was cool, man. I actually, I'm a big guy, but picture this. I rented a bike and I rode it out on the boardwalk.
That sounds great, man.
It was great. Breeze flowing through my hair. It was awesome.
I did see him behind the announcers.
See,
Perfectly.
we were talking about
staged.
Yeah, we were talking about this. So I was out there for UNLV. They had a basketball tournament, and Jay was one of many people I heard from that said, "I saw you on TV. You looked angry because I was sitting right behind the bench, and the game was on CBS Sports." And apparently I was a little bit of a star because I was angry and I was caught on camera.
Angry about what? Did you have a wager on the game that wasn't going your way?
No, it was actually more about
Twitter beef of some kind?
No, I love Twitter beef.
People get upset about that.
No. This is more of a logistics, my job thing because I was out there for work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense than Twitter.
John, your holiday, safe travels, obviously. How was it?
That was good. Everything was good. I went to my niece's baptism Wednesday.
Nice.
Tried to avoid the NFL as much as possible Thursday. I did see the end of that New England-Minnesota game, and I watched a lot of the World Cup, which was great. Just great.
The World Cup has been absolutely fantastic.
It's so good.
With that, I mean, John avoided the National Football League for the most part. Jay, how was the weekend, including the holidays, from a bookmaker's standpoint?
Pretty solid. Yeah. No complaints. We had good Friday, good Saturday, Sunday. We gave back a little bit, mainly because we have a VIP player that pretty much went off and then gave a little bit back or broke even on Monday. So pretty solid, though, in all jurisdictions. Yeah. Not just Nevada, but every jurisdiction had a pretty solid weekend. So
how much from a World Cup standpoint? Because USA had a pretty big two couple of games, right? They played England. They had to play Iran to get in, of course. From a handle and how that went from a result standpoint, how was that?
Yeah, the handle's down. Versus other World Cups, and we all know what that's going. You know what's going on there because you look at the World Cup, it usually has a main stage all by itself in the middle of summer, but this year it's going against football, basketball, hockey, you name it, and so it's understandable why it's dropped down a little bit. But I think it's going to pick up now as we move forward. We know that U.S. has advanced. We expect a pretty solid handle this Saturday, and who knows what happens if they were to win that game. I think that I think it's going to surprise the betting interest is going to surprise a lot of people if they advance further past Holland.
Yeah, they will. They would if they did. Would play the winner of Argentina, and I can't remember who Argentina has.
Australia.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Socceroos, I believe.
But the World Cup was tremendous, and on Wednesday, of course, was a very dramatic day. John and I were talking about this before we got on the air. The Mexico, Saudi Arabia, side to side with Argentina and Poland, and how that all went down, going down to aggregate goals and yellow cards. It was absolutely awesome.
And I bet Saudi Arabia +1. So
there you go. Goal at stoppage time.
Talk about a bad push. Talk about a push that I didn't deserve. Mexico should have probably been ahead like 5 or 6 to nothing.
Oh, they had chances.
And Argentina, if you remember, think back to the first half, they got the penalty kick save on a messy penalty kick, or maybe they win 3-0. And the goal differential, I think, would have been different then. But
Mexico,
but I think Poland would have still gone on though, right? Because of fair play.
Well, yeah, they were going to the 4th tiebreaker or something like that.
It was the 5th tiebreaker, and then of course Saudi Arabia scored, and then
they should have that in the NFL.
That'd be good, right?
Whoever has the less stupid holding penalties. Well, you guys won because you only got called for holding 4 times. You win. You go to the next round.
But I think personal foul should count as 2.
Yeah.
right?
They could do that instead of overtime. Let's tally up the calls, and then, all right, you won. That'd be great.
Imagine moving on because of the way an officiating crew handles stuff and how thin-skinned they are.
In the NFL, they're pretty reliable. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that.
All right, speaking of, let's move on. Week 13, games of the week. We start with Thursday. Buffalo Bills on the road against the New England Patriots, of course, on Amazon Prime. But we have seen a little bit of move here. This actually opened up as high as 5 here at the Superbook. We're down to 3.5. With a total of 43.5 here at the Superbook. Jay, behind the move is what? The Bills are down 2 starters, but so are the Patriots. But the more impactful one, Von Miller, not going to play.
And we're taking some bets on the Patriots, and it's dropped, like you said, opened at 5 and down to 3.5. We took actually a big bet this morning, $20K on the Patriots plus 3.5. We stayed there, but it's certainly trending towards 3. I'm not sure if it's going to get down there, maybe a split line at 3, but certainly dropping down about 1.5 since its opening number.
Faith in the Patriots, I would assume. Patriots have been covering at a pretty high clip. And Josh Allen, I know I'm not allowed to say this, has not really been playing that well lately.
No, the last few weeks, he has not looked like he doesn't look like the guy he was at the beginning of the year.
So the Broncos were okay passing on him.
Oh, yeah. That was a terrific decision.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
thanks.
Russell Wilson's working out, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Only
got-
one of his defensive teammates is trying to fight him, not multiples, right? Only one guy that's coming up.
One guy.
Long year in Denver.
Yeah, I talked to some guys out of Denver this morning. Some great stories. Yeah, I'll save them, though, but they're fantastic.
Last 5 games, for those who are wondering, 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games. So, very highly rated team, as you guys know. And sometimes those ratings get a little out ahead of you as a team, and then you can't cover some of these numbers. You're winning games, but you can't cover big numbers.
Well, Buffalo was they were laying a field goal at Arrowhead.
Yep.
A few weeks ago. So that gives you an idea of just how high their power rating got. If that game was this Sunday, that certainly would not be the line. Although they won that game.
They did win that game. That's what I was going to say. Did they cover?
Yeah, didn't they win by 3 or 4?
I think they won right at about 3.
It was
won
right
by
around.
3.
It was right around the number. Yeah.
Yep. All right, we move on. New York Jets on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. Patriots, by the way, took on the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday. That was a 33-26 win for Minnesota. Now the Vikings get to take on the New York Jets and Mike White. How about that? Jay, we go to you here as the Vikings right now. This is floating around that field goal number, but the Vikings on the Superbook board, -3 even money, 44.5. We're at the Superbook at Westgate.
You can say Westgate.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Don't say that.
Sorry.
I'm not even going to look towards Jeremiah when I talk about this game. But again, it's the same line as I saw against the Patriots. I thought it should be on the high side of 3. I think this game should be the high side of 3 again. It's a solid 3 across the board. I don't understand it. I know Mike White looked pretty good. I admit to that. But I thought it's a short sample, right? We'll see what happens. I mean, playing the Vikings, I'm not saying the Vikings are contenders or even in the first tier. They're not in the first tier. They're probably in the second tier, probably in the middle of the second tier. That's what I think of the Vikings, but they are pretty decent at home. It's a tough ask for the Jets to go in there and win this game, and that's what we're asking if it's just 3.
Yeah, Mike White against the Chicago Bears defense, which is pretty shorthanded at this point right now. I would not put a whole lot of weight into it. Although I will say, I think he is better than Zach Wilson.
We got a young man right there wearing a Bears shirt. You said that.
I think he knows, right? They traded away their 2 best defensive players. They're a little shorthanded. I mean, am I saying something like
I think it was really inappropriate.
Out of pocket?
Yes.
Justin Fields is the truth. Do I make up with that? Because he is the truth.
Yeah, he's playing well. There's no difference. There's no letdown going from Wilson to White. What's the difference?
No,
White's probably better.
I think you upgrade, right?
Probably. Wilson struggling. That young man.
Mike White in that game, by the way, against Chicago, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, completed 78.6% of his passes. So,
but I would say that just to defend Wilson a little bit, Wilson didn't get to go up against the Bears after they traded away their whole defense. He was going up against the Patriots. So it's not really the same thing.
Too busy spending.
I don't even like Zach Wilson. I don't know why I'm defending him. I'm just pointing out that the Bears' defense is very bad.
I was going to make
we're all piling on John here.
I was going to make a really good Cougar joke about Zach Wilson, but you stepped on it, so there's no point in going forward anymore.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. I should leave the jokes for you. You're the funniest guy on the show.
Thanks, John.
I don't think so. I'm certainly not trying to be.
All right, John, we'll go to you on this one. Tennessee Titans on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. This one's come down a little bit here. Now at the Superbook, we've got a number of 5, kind of dead, right? You can go in there and lay it. You can take it, whatever. It doesn't really do much for you. A total of 44.5. Eagles, depending on the number you got against Green Bay, did not cover or did, right? It was floating around that 6.5 mark at close. What do you make of this? As Tennessee finally kind of turned it to a pumpkin last week against Cincinnati?
Yeah, it's kind of a bad loss for them because the Bengals were missing some really key players on offense. They got beat. Tennessee got beat at home, and now they go on the road against a Philadelphia team. Philadelphia's a team, they've seen their power rating come back down to earth a little bit. I mean, there was a time where they were considered so far ahead of the NFC. I've been saying for a while I think San Francisco is the best team in the NFC, but there was a time where Philadelphia was considered so far and away the best team. You're seeing that the numbers are coming down a little bit now. And we saw Sharp Guys taking 5.5 with Tennessee. Eagles, maybe, they came back down to earth that loss to the football team on Monday night. And they almost lost to the Colts the next week. And they struggled at times against Green Bay. So I think a little bit of reality for Philadelphia. Although, they're having a great season. The public is definitely going to bet on the Eagles in this game. But I'm not surprised to see the Sharp Guys take the points.
For those who like small sample size trends, the Eagles 5-1 against the spread at home, 1-4 away from home. So
I like those tweets where it's like, oh, they're 2-1 their last 3 against the spread.
I like that one.
That's good stuff.
You saw my tweet?
Yeah, that was Jay.
Can I tell you, my favorites are the ones that like tie in teams from like 30 years ago.
Right.
Like, the Eagles over the last 20 years are 7-1 against the spread against the Titans.
that.
Well, that really matters. The 2002 matchup really will determine a lot of what goes on this
You would be surprised some of the people that actually use those numbers in the business, right?
in the business.
Yeah, maybe even our back room.
Yeah, I could see that.
Get out of here. Set numbers like that. Like, I was shit at a half point shorter because
we got a lot of pencil and paper guys back there.
So what was the score in 1998? Tell me again.
All right, we'll go to the team that I think both of you actually believe is the best team in the NFC, right? I think you're both pro 49ers. Are you not?
I am.
Yeah, and John just said that as well.
I don't know about the best team. I'm kind of leaning towards Dallas these days, but their schedule is really softened up. Speaking of the Cowboys, if you look at their schedule again, they got I don't know what they got. The Colts. Is it the Texans? Jaguars, something like that. It's really easy road.
That's their schedule?
Oh, the Cowboy schedule is very nice.
The last 3 are not gimmies, but the next 3 are.
No, I think Jay makes a good point. I guess I was thinking of it as Philadelphia versus San Francisco, and I kind of forgot about Dallas. They are playing very well.
Colts, Texans, Jags, Eagles, Titans, and Commanders. That would be the rest of the...
Ooh, Commanders. Where's that game? That could be a real tough game.
That's in our nation's capital, as they say.
Well, it's in Maryland.
No, it's all the same.
It's actually the statue building capital of this country. That's where you really want to go to get a nice statue.
Statue or jersey.
You ever find yourself in Landover, Maryland? Yes. What game? I was going
to say, we were talking about the San Francisco 49ers, but we got there. All right, so let's go there. 49ers, the Superbook opened 4.5 with a total of 46.5, down to 4 with a total of 46.5. There are injury concerns here, though. Teron Armstead, not going to play for Miami. It's a pretty big loss along the offensive line. Elijah Mitchell, knocked out for the rest of the season for San Francisco. Jay, what has the action been like here? Because obviously not a big move, but half point off of the line in Miami's favor.
Well, we know what the public's going to do. They're going to jump on the 49ers. They love the 49ers, and they've been in love with them the last few weeks. But looking at this game, I'm trying to figure out who is going to run the rock for the 49ers. I mean, it's a 3-headed monster. I know McCaffrey's back there, but he's not 100%. It looks like he might even miss some playing time, not the game itself.
Knee irritation.
Yeah. You have that
tough.
as well.
Yeah.
But it's
knee irritation. That keeps you out of an NFL game. Knee irritation.
Well, I think he's going to play, to Jay's point, but maybe he sees limited snaps or something.
But
it's good work if you can get it. Jay made me come in today even though I had knee irritation.
Yeah. Okay. I started that. That was my bad.
I knew a radio guy that took time off because of an elbow injury.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was that?
He'll go unnamed. But
okay. Okay.
Anyway, San Francisco.
Was that you?
Yeah.
I'm not a radio guy. They just make me do all this radio stuff.
So good at it, though. So this number, you think closes 3.5?
No.
Just going to close 4?
Yeah. I think it's going to be at 4. It might go to 3.5, but by the time the public gets to it, like I said, they're going to push it right back up by game day. I like the Dolphins.
So high
this is a really important. I think this is a really good barometer for the Dolphins. Let's just see what they're made of here, because I think they've had, outside the early good wins, they haven't had any recent good wins. I think that going down there to San Francisco, which we all believe is one of the better teams in the NFL, Miami's kind of in that upper second tier team. This is a game that can push them, forward a bit and be a true contender. I'm not sure if they are. I know the 49ers are because of their defense and they can run the ball most of the time, but the Dolphins, I'm not sure of. So I think it's going to be a very interesting game, probably the most interesting game on the board this week.
To your point about their schedule, the last 5 for Miami, Houston, Cleveland, Chicago, Detroit, Pittsburgh. Only one powerhouse, the Chicago Bears, among them. So not really a
and
tough
we
schedule.
could do really well if Miami won this division.
Yeah? I have a lot of
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
going to
We
Buffalo.
would do awesome if Miami won the division. So.
Would that be? I mean, Patriots are not out of it, but their road is very tough. It'd just be any other team than
no,
Buffalo.
no, we would lose. We would lose on the Jets.
Okay.
but or we would win less on the Jets. But I look at it as Buffalo or Miami. It'll probably come down to the head-to-head game. But Miami, like we're talking about teams whose power ratings are going down slightly, like Philadelphia and Buffalo. Miami's in the other direction, where they're even though they have had weak competition lately, they're getting a lot of respect. And I saw that they flexed their game next Sunday against the Chargers into the Sunday night game, and I don't know why they didn't flex this game into the Sunday night game instead of the Colts and the Cowboys.
Excuse me?
This is a really good game. There's
Colts Cowboys.
It's a
It is.
really
this is one of
interesting game.
It is, and this is real. Oh yeah, this is one of the better NFL cards in recent memory because last Sunday was so bad. But there's some really good games on Sunday.
I think all the ones we've talked about today and are going to talk about pretty much, and Kansas City and Cincinnati among them as well. Chiefs on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. Superbook opener -3 in favor of Kansas City with a total of 51. Current number right now off of that 3 at 2 with a total of 52.5. And I would assume when we talk about getting that hook knocked off as well, John, Jamar Chase's return has something to do with that.
For sure. And look at Cincinnati's form. Cincinnati's playing really well right now. They look like the best team in the AFC North because Baltimore just decides they can't ever win a game, even if they're up big in the fourth quarter, they just lose anyway. So the Bengals look like they're the class of that division. They're a really good upward trajectory right now. They get Chase back. Saw some really sharp money on the over in this game, over 51. Not too much on the side. We're just going to see where the bettors take this one. But you definitely see this game either way. This could be, I know this was the AFC Championship game last year. It could be the AFC Championship game this year. If Buffalo can't get its act together and Allen stop turning the ball over in the red zone, these two teams look like they might be the two best teams in the AFC right now.
They're certainly, amongst the top contenders, along with the Bills. You got to still throw them in there. But
Sure.
Very interesting matchup. Like John said, this is a really great slate, and this one included. I have to think that the Chiefs being a slight favorite is a pretty solid number. I can't see what the public's going to do with this. They're probably favored with the Chiefs. We're certainly probably get more tickets on them, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get some money support, maybe not ticket support, but money support on the Bengals.
And Cincinnati, Miami kind of mirroring each other. Cincinnati climbing their way up the power ratings, just given their recent form and getting
They
healthy.
definitely are.
Yeah.
The Bengals have been quietly doing that.
Mhm.
They've just been hanging around, doing what they need to do, and here they are, and now they're going to get one of the best receivers, in the league back. And they've been doing this. I don't know, how long has he been out? 4 games?
Around that,
Yeah, something like that.
And there's so many good quarterbacks in the AFC. We really lose track of how good Joe Burrow is and how young he is. I think he's being taken for granted a little bit. He's only 25. He was in the Super Bowl last year, and he is playing awesome right now. So the AFC playoffs for the next half dozen years, every game is basically going to be great because you've got all these good young quarterbacks. And then there's some other teams on the outside that don't have a quarterback.
Jamar Chase has not played since October 23rd. That was their win over Atlanta. So he has been out since then. That was week 7. So grand total of 4 games, 5 weeks for Jamar Chase.
Yeah, they get Mixon back. Most likely get Mixon back this weekend, but even so, maybe they don't. They get Perrine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name?
P. Ryan.
Ex-Redskin, because at the time that was the name of the team.
Boy.
Yes, it
Well,
was.
no, that was the name then. What?
Super contest update.
Okay, so next.
Wait. Leaders at 42.5 points. Is that about right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
71% in terms of
That's pretty
Solid.
ranking record.
I saw something that really bothered me, John.
Okay, go ahead.
So Jeremiah, our producer, sent us the rundown, and it said you didn't submit your plays the last couple of weeks. It's on an app.
I did. I know.
You just explain
with
yourself, man.
I'm going to break up in tears. No. Honestly,
Yeah.
man, I forgot. I got a lot going on in my life.
No, you're a busy guy.
And,
I appreciate that.
And generally, what I do, because I like to do this, I like to come down to the Westgate, spend some time down here.
Mhm.
So I actually don't use the app because of that, because I like to come down and hang out on the property, have to put my picks in, get away from the wife and kids for a while.
Well, that was the original idea of a football contest, right? Was to get you away from your family to the casino to drink.
My wife does not watch this, so I know that this is, although I'll get her to watch it.
That was the original purpose of a contest.
After finishing one of my many jobs on Saturday night, I looked up and I was like, oh, I've got 7 minutes to get down to the Westgate to put my picks in, and I do not live 4 minutes away.
But you could
don't have a phone.
You could have done it on the app.
I know. I messed up. John.
She's obviously unaware.
You can shame me.
She's unaware of sports apps, probably.
She's aware.
I gotta go down there.
Well, they have proxy services.
They do. Trust me. The shame I feel is when I looked up at the clock, I felt immense shame. Much like I feel right now.
Shame is a big word. I'm looking out for you.
I appreciate it. So will you let me go retroactively select my...
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get that on the air. Yes. Tell me who you would have played, and I will go in there and I will punch it into the system, regardless of the record.
It would have been 5-0, trust
me. Yes. Let's make sure that's on camera and hopefully on the internet and so forth.
Sure. I can't wait to look at Twitter on Friday.
It won't happen. It's a
John Von Tobel went 10-0. We were wrong, guys.
All right. Before we move to college football, you mentioned, was it a New England Patriots wager at $20K earlier? Is that
today.
One of the big bets that we have seen so far this week?
The other one was on USC, and that was on Monday. Actually, laid a bad number, -3. He took USC -3 for $50K, and now the market is 2.5. Good game, though.
That's awesome.
So is that, can I ask this question? I don't want you to, I don't want to put you in any hot water, so you can decline it if you want. But I would assume if it was a bettor who had some weight with their selections, that would have moved to like 3.5 potentially and not moved in the other direction.
Well, it did. It did for a while.
Okay, it did?
After the wager, it did. The market's just gone the other way.
Okay, all right. I don't want to insult anybody. I
was going to take the 5th, but... Yep.
Okay, all right.
Oh, right. I mean, go ahead and edit that out.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, they will play Utah and USC here in Las Vegas over at Allegiant Stadium. A rematch of a regular season game, which went Utah's way, 43-42. Right now, the Superbook, in terms of a number, is sitting right about that 2.5-point mark. And it's pretty interesting because it's one of multiple championship games that are sitting on that number, but 2.5 with a total of 67.5. So, Jay, I'll go to you here. Outside of the wager, what do you expect to see here as it's sitting under a field goal?
I think we're going to see a very similar to a game as we saw during the regular season. I think Utah won on a 2-point conversion real late. They were trailing the whole game. Williams was having his way with this team because, I don't know what happened to Utah's defense because they really do have a good defense. They can put a lot of pressure, on the quarterback, and they just didn't do it that game. And if they don't do it again, they're in for a long day. But Utah's a really straightforward team. They run the ball, they play great defense, and it's tough for them to come back, even though they did that in that first meeting. So I would expect a high volume game. I expect a lot of action on it because it's the big game on Friday. It's not mixed in with all the games on Saturday. And we're going to have a lot of Utah fans in here. The Utah fans are very loyal. They're right down the street from us, and they're going to be filling up. That's it's not going to be a home game like it was during the regular season, but believe me, there's going to be 80% of those fans in Allegiant Stadium will be rooting for Utah.
USC's playing a lot better than they did when these two teams met the first time. Their offense is playing a lot better. Their defense even played well on Saturday in that Notre Dame game. We'll see if Utah can keep up because right now USC, they're just on fire, and I'm rooting for USC.
Why?
I like USC.
You want them in the playoff, or you want?
I want them in the College Football Playoff. Yeah. I want Caleb Williams to win the Heisman Trophy.
Oh,
and
now
I want my USC. I want to see USC in the College Football Playoff.
Caleb Williams went to your high school, correct?
He's putting our high school on the map.
Yes.
Other than me, he's probably
the truth comes out. Even though we have a lot of liability on USC.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
I know.
So you liability in a national championship sense or a conference championship sense?
I said this in the summer, just like the summer before when we had Spencer Rattler as the Heisman favorite, and I told our people, I was like, there's a backup quarterback in Oklahoma better than Rattler. And I was right about that one.
That's right.
Sometimes when you're a homer, you're right. Sometimes if you just say like the thing you want to have happen is going to happen, you end up being right, then you can take a victory lap.
Very true. My victory laps are few and far between. 60.
Oh, you got to submit picks, take a victory lap, John.
Good. I had a victory lap last year. I got some money out of you guys. Not a lot, but I got some. 67 to 67.5 on the total. From a total standpoint, any real reason to move any more outside of this? I just find it interesting because we're inside on a fast track. I think it would benefit USC a little bit. It was a high-scoring game first time around, over 1,000 yards. Both team out over 500. So, over 500 total yards. So it seems like a game that would benefit from some high scores.
Utah should try to take some of the air out of the ball, run the football, keep Caleb Williams. I mean, all kidding aside, keep that USC offense on the sideline. That's what they should be doing. And Whittingham is a good coach. I mean, it'll depend on who is winning the battle of the style here. If it ends up being an aerial game back and forth, USC is going to win.
We move on to the Big 12. Kansas State and TCU, another rematch. TCU won that game 38-28, and now the disrespect for the Horned Frogs. What about this? 2.5, total of 62 here at the Superbook. Under a field goal for a team that is 9-2-1 against the spread, undefeated, playing for a conference championship. John, what is the reasoning behind this just utterly disrespectful line?
I think the line's kind of high. I mean, I think this number should be more like a pick 'em. I think it's only TCU minus 2.5 because of their record. I mean, they've obviously had a great season, but Kansas State's playing well. And we see sharp guys on Kansas State a lot. Remember, TCU was like a 7-point dog against Texas a few weeks ago. They probably would be a dog in this game on Saturday if Kansas State had lost to Kansas and Texas was playing in this game against TCU.
Can I make an argument?
Yeah.
So you
no, you can't. No.
Well, I wonder because we talked about
next
this.
Game.
All the Sharp guys, right?
Yeah.
Sharps had Texas rated as a top 10 team. You mentioned that game.
They definitely did.
Right? You mentioned that game against TCU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were a 7-point underdog. They also lost that game outright.
Oh,
Texas
I know.
did,
And TCU looked awesome. That was definitely that was for sure their best game of the year. But I think a lot of it is TCU has played a lot of these games against backup quarterbacks. They've barely survived a few times. I don't want to take too much away from TCU. They've had a great year, and I think they should get to the college football playoff even if they lose on Saturday.
Yeah, I think so. Like my whole point is, and you guys see this sometimes too. Sometimes I feel like bettors who shape the market and the market itself gets a little stubborn with its rating of teams. Mm-hmm. We saw that with Texas, and they consistently failed to cover some of those numbers that the market was betting into. Sure. The market has consistently come in against TCU on a week-to-week basis. I mean, they're 9-2-1 against the spread. Is there a chance that the market's just wrong here against about TCU?
I don't know. We've been making adjustments all season long on this team, and they've been disrespected for weeks now. Mm-hmm. I think before that Texas game, didn't they have a tough game right before that? And so it was really a rough spot for them, and they still came through as a 7.5, 8-point underdog because I think all the Sharps were still laying that number
they probably should have lost to Baylor, too.
They played at home against Texas Tech, and they won by 10 before the game against Texas. TCU.
And then they played at Baylor, where they probably should have lost.
Oh, the end of that game was ridiculous.
But no, they've had an unbelievable year. Like I think they should be in the playoff even if they lose.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Ohio State going to the playoff.
Well,
you want to talk about that at all?
Well, I don't think TCU is going to make the playoff if they lose by more than 14.
No, I said I think they should. I don't know that they will. I just think that they should. I don't think it's fair to these teams that they have to play an extra game and then Ohio State and Alabama are sitting at home because they didn't qualify for this round and they're rooting for somebody to lose so that they can get in.
I agree with you, John. I also think that the only team playing for a spot in the playoff this weekend is USC.
I think so, but even that I think is kind of unfair. I mean, just because they have to have this extra game, USC could theoretically be out of the playoff because they have to have this extra game on a neutral field against this very good Utah team. USC's only loss was on the road by 1 point, and Ohio State just got absolutely thumped by Michigan in Columbus on Saturday.
It was impressive.
Why should Ohio State go in over USC or TCU?
Because they lost at the right time.
I don't think that just doesn't make sense to me. Ohio State, they were pointed towards this Michigan game all year. They had it at home and they got crushed. And now they can just sit at home while Michigan beats up Purdue and they get to go to the playoff if one of these other teams falters. No. I don't agree with that.
You know, our power ranking would have Alabama favored over Ohio State in a neutral field right now.
Oh, yeah.
Would Alabama
I mean, like a short favorite, but
here's my question.
That's the power rankings right now.
Would Alabama be favored over Michigan?
Yes.
Yes.
Really? Still, huh?
Yes.
Interesting.
Well, think about how big of a dog.
Short favorite. We're talking 1.5.
Okay. All right.
Think of what a dog Michigan was at Ohio State on Saturday.
Right. I mean, I think the market was clearly kind of wrong there. It's only one result.
Yes. The market was wrong.
Right. So
it's the first time we've ever been wrong.
Yeah. It's very true.
It was tough.
A last note for our listeners and viewers, by the way, when this TCU Kansas State matchup first happened, Adrian Martinez started that game, got knocked out after the first drive. Will Howard then came in and then was also knocked out. So those people who think that win over Kansas State was somewhat fraudulent, you can kind of understand that thought process, and very much worth mentioning.
Does Adrian Martinez have another year of eligibility? That'd be awesome.
I don't know.
Maybe he could transfer somewhere else, play another year.
His career is very Perry Ellis-like now at this point. For those who don't know, Perry Ellis, former Kansas big man who played like 20 years.
But
for the
now
Jayhawks.
with the transfer portal, maybe he could transfer to West Virginia. We need a quarterback.
UNLV? I mean,
Sure, what the hell?
might be a lot of transfers.
For hoops.
Yeah. All right, last one. Not a lot of drama here, it would seem. LSU and Georgia, no regular season rematch to take note of here, as they did not meet in the regular season. Superbooks got 17.5 with a total of 51. So again, not a lot of drama, at least in terms of what might happen here in this matchup. Is this actually going to be a somewhat popular game? You guys did open 15, so it's been bet up in favor of Georgia, but such a large spread and really not a lot of drama, it seems, from a straight-up perspective. Heck, John, I think Georgia could probably rest everybody and be fine.
And then they almost would be better off doing so.
Yep.
I mean, if let's just pretend they fell to the 2 seed and they played TCU, well, I think I'd rather play TCU than play USC or potentially Ohio State. I think they're not going to do that. I mean, we are talking about the SEC. They want to be undefeated. They want to win the SEC championship game. They lost that game last year to Alabama. They want to win an SEC title, but they might be better off being the number 2 seed. I feel like I'm really picking on TCU. But playing against TCU, I just think they'd be a bigger favorite in that game. I think it'd be better for them. But they're not going to do that.
No, they won't.
No, they're not going to do that.
Sadly enough. Also,
To answer your question, it's not going to be a very big interest game.
right, handle-wise, it's
I'm trying to
pretty
think,
low,
what time is that game? Is it mid-afternoon?
It's at 1 o'clock our time.
Right.
Yeah, I've got it on my screen. Yeah, 1 o'clock.
All right. So
Going head-to-head with the Mountain West title game, so of course.
Oh,
it's got some
That's a pretty good
confidence.
game. I mean, the Mountain West game's good.
I've got Fresno State at 3-1 to win the conference. So we're big Bulldog fans over the weekend. Let's go.
Who's we? Oh, well,
Me and my conglomerate.
yeah.
the Von Tobel family. Oh, yeah. I'll root for you. What the hell? Yeah.
Did you bet that on your app?
I actually did.
That's how easy it is, man. You just log in.
I actually did. All right, before we get out of here, really quickly, World Cup. So you mentioned very briefly that is it the Netherlands who is the matchup for the Americans this coming week?
Jay said Holland.
I got thrown off
Are you
by
a
that.
Netherlands guy or a Holland guy?
I don't know. I'm both. I've been there.
I got really thrown off.
place.
It is the Netherlands they are playing,
not.
correct?
Yeah, they're playing Netherlands.
Okay, all right.
Well, they're playing Holland too.
Okay, all right. That's all together.
Not really fair. No wonder
two
I was
they're
going to
on one.
say, isn't that
yeah,
multiple
no wonder
countries?
no wonder they're so good.
It's kind of like New England, right? Like multiple states. So the Netherlands, multiple countries. Seems like an unfair advantage. How popular is that going to be? 10 a.m. Eastern for you guys, USA?
10
On the
a.m.
knockout round?
Eastern,
Yeah.
which means 7 a.m. out here.
That's a
no,
good job.
No, I think it's
5
gonna,
a.m.
I think it's
Hawaii.
going to be pretty popular, mainly because it's on Saturday,
Yeah.
not a Tuesday. It's a little earlier start, but I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of interest, not to a level of maybe one of these prime championship games, but I think it's going to be comparable to a regular solid college football game.
Yeah. And generally, it's pretty chalky. So I would assume all that you guys mentioned. I think Argentina was one of the more heavy liabilities. Did you guys have in the futures market for the World
They
Cup?
definitely are. We,
Yeah.
were big, we took more bet money on them after they somehow lost their first game in
Yep.
Saudi Arabia. I slept through that game. I don't know how that happened, but they lost that game. We went to, I believe, 8-1, and we took another 5K on them at 8-1 after that first game loss. So we've got a pretty good liability in Nevada on Argentina.
Yeah.
Of the teams that can actually win this tournament,
Right.
sorry USA, but of the teams that can really win it, Argentina is the one that's a little scary.
Well, and really quickly for our listeners, 'cause I think a lot of people might be surprised. Like, how do you get liability on a long shot? Because it builds up pretty quick, right? In terms of
Adds
some of
up
these
quickly.
bets. Yeah.
Yeah, the
And then
dollar
on
amounts.
on
Yep.
some of the shorter favorites, it's usually large bets
Mhm.
that will make the difference. You probably won't see the same ticket count, even though some of them do accumulate a lot of tickets. But most of the time, it's usually a large or a couple of large wagers that will put us over into the red category.
Argentina went undefeated in qualifying. They were a very trendy play coming into the tournament.
Well, they were unbeaten like in 50 games
Yeah.
or something
They
like
were,
that,
they
right?
were super trendy. They've got maybe the best player in the world, formerly the best player in the world, at least. Not the best player now, but one of the biggest names in the world. And everybody seemed to be betting them.
Tristan Pulisic?
No, Argentina.
I know. I'm making a joke. What I
didn't
take from
understand that reference.
what I take from that is that the Superbook is anti-American and don't want the Americans to win this thing.
No, I want them to win.
Oh, we're rooting for
We'll
it.
have to just write up a report. We've done that before.
Okay, all right. I like it. Lots of
We've done
reports.
that. We can write that report.
All right, if you liked If you like what you hear, take a second, like, rate, review, and subscribe, of course. And make sure you come see us at the Superbook at the Westgate, Las Vegas, or at the Lodge Casino in Blackhawk, Colorado. Of course, be there all weekend, showing all the biggest college football, NFL, and football games. Yes, soccer, football games. It's real football. And as always, you can follow us up on social at Superbook Sports or at superbook.com to stay on top of all the latest odds, boosts, and promos. We'll talk to you next week.